Hey, welcome everybody to another wonderful training. We are going to talk about something amazing for you today. We're going to talk about content creation and content strategy, right? Because, wait, I know we just talked about that last week, didn't we? But we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to approach it from a slightly different way. We are going to talk about strategy. We are going to talk about content. But Krista, Mr. Q. So we're going to talk about how to actually turn that content and that strategy into profit. Okay. So we planned this out ahead of time. It was going to be really cool. She was going to like talk over me and it was like, get your attention, right? Okay. But
it didn't work out, did it?
Her internet has this serious lag. It's like really weird. Everything transfers over here and then she moves. It's kind of like walking into the room with a baby and the baby toots and then everybody smells it 10 minutes later. But with the internet today, it's like you walk into the room and it stinks and 10 minutes later, the baby farts. It's crazy. So we're just going to have some fun with it. Hopefully you guys can appreciate the fact that we love to just keep things relaxed and lively. Last week, we talked a little bit about the importance of having a content strategy and about creating content. What we want to talk about today is how do we actually utilize that to turn a reader or a listener into a client, okay? Because oftentimes, like Krista, I mean, you've been stuck on the hamster wheel. How many times going, how do I get the clients?
So many times.
Where do I find the clients?
Yep.
Right? And how many times have you heard me say, successful people don't find their clients. Successful people create their clients.
Yep, you said that all the time.
Right?
And I know it works.
Right? And what people don't understand is it's not like you're making them do something. You create a client when you bring somebody to the point of awareness for the need for what you have. Now, all of a sudden, they become a client. They become the person that your ideal client, because they are the person who realizes the need to have what it is that you offer. And they understand that you offer it in a way that only you can.
So
and if it's,
you're saying some work has to be done on the front end for that client to actually become your client.
Yeah. See, the moment somebody is in the position where they know that the only way to get this thing is through what you have, and the only way they can get that is to buy it from you, there's no other option, and they simply just are going to buy it from you because nobody else offers the very thing that they need to get the result they want. Right. So what most people are trying to do is they're all out there trying to find that person who wants exactly what they're offering. And that's really hard. That's like trying to find a minnow in the ocean.
Yeah.
When you literally have a million other people fishing for that minnow. So instead, what we do is we just drop feed in the water in front of a bunch of minnows. And then we let them grow up until they're big enough to be caught in our net. Right? They've got to grow and develop to the point where they're worth reeling in. Okay.
Right.
So that's the purpose of having our content. Our content is there to not only educate, but also to increase their awareness for the need of the result that we offer. Okay.
So can I ask you, Chad? I feel like there's a mentality that we get into, like we have to push the sale. We have to, make them get something. And I feel like that mentality, needs to be kind of shown as not true, because ultimately, to your point, we need to nurture those minnows and show them that we're the source of the food.
Oh yeah. It's like, okay, when I got married, okay, food is a good example. When I got married, I married my wife, go figure. I married a vegan, and we had the conversation prior. And I was like, why? I mean, the food's really good, but like, where's the meat? She goes, you realize I'm a vegan, right? And I looked at her, I says, you realize I'm not, right? 6 months later, we were married and I was a vegan. But in truth, I was a meat-eating man who was eating a vegan diet. And no matter how many times I told my wife something was good, she wasn't going to eat it, nor was she going to cook it or allow it to be cooked in her pan. And if we went to her parents' place, they had to cook something completely separate for us, or we had to bring it, because no matter how good everybody else said it was, she wasn't going to eat it.
Mm.
So why is it that everybody is out there pushing meat products to a bunch of vegans? Because we know how good the meat is.
Yeah.
That right now is the current state of the internet. I hate to say it, it sucks, it's annoying, but it's true. Because so many people are saying, you just tell them how great it is, they'll buy it. Not if they don't want it.
Right.
They're not going to buy it. No, if you just tell them all the benefits of it, they don't want it, they're not going to buy it. You know how I know this? Because people told me for years all of the benefits of being a vegan. I didn't want it, and I wouldn't buy it. You know,
Yeah.
now I opened my eyes because I married my wife. I absolutely love her. She opened my eyes to probably 40,000 different ways and different to prepare food and eat, like, and foods that I'd never would have thought to eat. She's like, eat quinoa. I'm like, quinoa what? You know, found out it's an extremely healthy food and it tastes good and it's got a million different ways you can use it in food.
Yeah.
But we have to get to a point where we want something different than what we've got, or we'll never take what everybody is offering. And that's the purpose of the content, because our content makes them aware of things that they may not be aware of, which will bring an awareness of a need. And once they are aware of the problem, the need for something, then you can make them aware of the solution, which you provide in a very unique, special way. And when you do that properly, it all comes down to belief. Because did you notice each one of those points? First, they have to believe that what you have is valuable, right? Otherwise, they won't consume your content. And then they have to believe that there's something missing in their current paradigm, their belief system. Like, I believe that I can just pay for an ad and my business is going to blow up, right? No, there's a flaw in that. Just like the people's belief that paid ads are expensive. That's a lie. They're not expensive. It's like saying cars are expensive. No, they're not. Cars aren't expensive if you use the car to make yourself money.
Right.
I got a truck literally sitting right out there behind my office that literally has made me 60 times what I spent on the truck in revenue. Was that truck expensive? Not at all. Did it cost a lot of money? Yep. But it wasn't expensive. It didn't cost me anything because I learned how to use it. Same thing. We have to adjust our beliefs based on the reality of our perception. And our perception is always ruled by our perspective. And perspective is always ruled by our past. So what we need to do is institute new perspective so that then when they look back at their past, what you told them yesterday now has a bearing of how they see today. So every time we connect with somebody, we have an opportunity to create another memory, another experience that they can live through, which means we can slowly adjust the way that they have a perception of their present by continuing to add to their past. We do that through content. Every time we give a piece of content that they consume, they now have a new piece of information which changes their perspective, which ultimately controls their perception of everything that they see today. So if I share something with you today, but I never shared anything with you in the past, you will see what I offered completely different than if I shared with you for over a week and then shared that same piece of information. Your view of it will be different because you'll be a different person. So how does this turn into money? Okay. We need to identify the base core beliefs that every person must have to know, understand, and believe that what we have is going to better their life or their business. And think about it. There's at least 5 things that people have to believe. Like in the online space, and if you're teaching people how to do business, right? Actually, let's throw that one aside because that's what we do, right? Like let's take a random one. What's a random business you see online?
Health and fitness seems
Health,
to be
wealth, and fitness. Okay. They have to believe that a healthier life is a better life.
Okay.
They have to believe that, right?
Yeah.
They have to believe that a healthier life is possible for them.
Okay.
They have to believe that there is a specific process that they can do that is available to them. They have to believe that that process is affordable,
Okay.
right? And they
Yeah.
have to believe that it's affordable to them.
Mm,
And most importantly, they have to believe that their life will get worse without it.
that makes sense.
There's 5 beliefs. And if they have those 5 things in place, guaranteed they are aware of their unhealthy state. They believe that there is a way, that it is possible, their life will improve, and without it, their life will get worse, and they can afford to actually take the step. Do they want a healthier life? Yes. Is it available? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. Is it affordable? Yes. Can they do it? Yes. What are they going to do? They're going to buy it. And that's exactly the process. So what happens when we walk them through those processes over and over and over again? We help them to instill right belief about what is true. Because the fact is they're unhealthy because they believe their unhealthy choices made them happier.
Oh, okay.
They find, let's just say in my case, okay, I'm going to be honest. They felt the Swiss rolls and nutty bars gave them more pleasure than a jog through the woods. And at this age in my life, let's say in my 30s, it did. In my 20s, I would take a swift run through the woods long before I would eat a cookie because I enjoyed doing it. Then I got lazy and found out that eating the cookie not only tasted good, kicked up my endorphins, but it was a whole lot less effort.
Yeah.
And then I started carrying those cookies around my waist. Right? So I had to change my belief at some point so I could get healthier again. But I'm going to have to shift from a belief that the bad thing is better than the good. Okay. A lot of people don't believe that it's possible for them. It's like, you know what? I put on so much weight. There's no way that I can go running anymore. I might as well just stay home. All right, then get up and walk. Well, you know, I'm so heavy, it hurts my knees to walk. Okay, sit in your chair, but do leg extensions. Do something. Something is better than nothing, right? So you have to break these patterns of belief to help them get to the next step. And that's what happens through repetition.
That was my next question for you, actually, Chad.
Yeah.
When we have like those beliefs, I feel like it can be interesting in our content to attempt to gauge where a person is, because let's say we break it down, but it's not enough for that person. Is that why it's important to vary the content in such a way that you can have it look bigger, smaller? Like you said, you know, I have too much weight to do the walking, but breaking it down to starting with leg extensions, let's say.
Okay, so for instance, a lot of people want to talk about a healthy life being so much harder, right? But in my book, The Book on Being Better, did I say it in such a way that you realize the massive change in your life by sharing the story of a man who simply just had 1 extra glass of water a day?
Yeah.
You know, super stupid, simple thing, but then showed quantitatively how much that changed that person's life.
Yeah.
So the key to helping people change is through 2 things. Yes, to offer that angle at different perspectives, which we're going to touch on in a second, but to do it through repetition. Because I'm going to liken our mind, the synapses, the neural pathways in our mind, to water. Okay.
Okay.
If you take a hose and you put it at the top of a hill and you turn the hose on, how many streams of water are at the bottom of the hill?
1.
No, because it's going to hit the grass and it's just going to spread out into all these fine-tuned streams, right? There's going to be hundreds and hundreds of small little substreams pouring down the side of the hill. But if you leave that water on, through time, those trickles of water will actually turn into grooves because of that constant flowing of the repetition. You know, contrary to common belief, the Grand Canyon was not cut by Paul Bunyan's axe when he was crossing the desert, right?
No.
It was through years and years and years of the Rio Grande cutting through I think it was the Rio Grande. Yeah, I think it's the Rio Grande. You know, slowly cutting through the rock. Repetition caused a deep groove, and that deep groove is hard to get out of. So the same thing, if we have wrong belief, the longer we've been believing it, the deeper those grooves are. So the more times we institute the right belief, the more we ingrain those, the deeper those becomes. That's called our neural pathways. They become stronger. It just becomes the natural way of thinking. So if we know the core belief is A healthy life is better than an unhealthy life.
Right.
And I share the story, right, of my cat. Okay, my cat, actually, it was mom and dad's cat. Name was Buttons. And Buttons was a healthy, strong mousing cat. And when I say mouser, he wasn't stuck to the house. He would chase the field mice in the yard. He was a healthy, fast, strong, powerful cat. You'd pick him up and you could just feel his muscles. Cool cat. Well, he ended up getting sick. Got so sick to this poor cat with literally all skin and bone. It looked like it was just skin stretched over bones. And would have diarrhea just walking across the floor. Couldn't get him to eat. Could barely get him to drink. Eventually, we had to help him rest, right? And I saw it absolutely break my mama's heart the day that we had to let that cat rest, right? And I thought, man, how many of us do that in our lives, where we let ourselves go to the point where we're so unhealthy that the people that love and care about us are actually having to watch and listen to us suffer each and every day. I hope I never get to the point where somebody has to put me down and my wife and my family have to watch me suffer because of my poor choices. Okay. That's a supporting story of the belief that healthier is better than sick.
Yeah.
Right. Or I could talk about my dad, Paul. Okay. He did not like to change his diet, and his heart knew it. Multiple surgeries, open heart surgeries, and stents put in. You know, we'd get him back to that original state, but the same old bad habits got him back in the same position where he had to go back and get more stents put in and more things taken care of. Eventually, he passed away from a heart attack, and we lost our dad. Now, the cool thing is, after the heart attack, dad was like full of life and ready to go. He's like, I got a brand new heart. I can go back and do all the things I used to do. See, we changed the situation, but his belief didn't change, which kept landing him in the same situation. But I watched as his health continued to go downhill to the point where this dad that was full of life and vigor and loved us, he would literally fall asleep in mid-sentence at the table because he was on so many medications for his heart. That would be another story. Unhealthy, worse than healthy. Yeah. On the opposite end of the spectrum, I could come back and I could tell a story about my grandma. My grandma was on a lot of different medications and whatnot for her health, and she developed to have Alzheimer's, and she was suffering with that. And at one point, my mom says maybe she's just over medicated, and we took her off like a ton of her medication. And all of a sudden, grandma remembered us, and she was coherent. She was still dealing with Alzheimer's, but grandma was back because we took away all those things that were making her unhealthy and unsafe. And, you know, and we had so many more months of grandma that we got to spend with her. And we saw the value of making sure that we took care of what we put in our bodies. And we started taking out the things that were causing her problems, and life came back. She was able to have that relationship with her grandkids and with her daughter and her sons. And it was that amazing time because she started to take care of those aspects of her health. Yeah. Again, another story. I mean, just in those 4 stories, can you understand the value of healthy being better than unhealthy?
Oh, heck yeah.
Absolutely. So in our content, what we do is we form patterns in our content where we share stories that allow us to emotionally connect with our audience in ways that tell the stories of our life and our experience that support the belief that is necessary for them to take the next step. And we know that these things are true. So therefore, there's no problem with sharing those stories to help somebody else understand the truth. It's not deception. It's not deceit. It's not manipulating them to do what you want. You're simply helping them to understand a truth that will improve their life and ultimately could lead them to the very thing that will take their life to the next level and help them achieve the desires and goals that they already want.
So you're actively illustrating that example.
Exactly. And through that, what we do is we help them to develop and instill the beliefs that are necessary to become an ideal client. And an ideal client will automatically buy. There's no selling involved. There's no need. They
Right.
understand the value, the need. They understand they can get it from you. They understand that you're the only person they can get it from. Why would they look anywhere else? Because you're the ones that got what they need. That's the process. Okay, so we specifically teach people how to do this in our content strategies. And inside of one of our programs, we actually teach how to actually log all this out and do it day by day. But we show you how to literally put this in place and say, if you had 5 core beliefs, could you come up with 4 experiential stories from your life? Just 4 that would support each one of those beliefs of what you're offering. Yeah. If you can't come up with 4, you've either been sleeping under a rock or sleeping on top of one your whole life, right? Because you've lived life long enough to know that these things are true. If you can't think of 4 experiences in your life to state that, to support that they're true, you might want to question whether or not it's true. But if you can find 4 core beliefs that they must have to be your ideal client, and you can come up with 4 supporting stories of each, you automatically have an entire month of weekday cycle emails that you can send out to your audience, because you have one story every single day supporting one of those beliefs. Now put those beliefs in order of priority. What must they believe before the next? And for an entire month, you will walk them through the belief system 4 full times in a row. And then you can make your offer as an ad note. Hey, by the way, if you want to learn how to do this more effectively, make sure to check out here. Right? That's all there is to it. And so a content strategy literally means it's not just a plan. I plan to put up content every day. That's how lazy schmucks do it, where they're trying to like, I'll make your life easy. We'll just give you 30 days. But without a strategy, it's like saying, I'm going to get up in the morning, I'm going to take my bow and arrow, and I'm going to fire an arrow into the woods. And eventually I'm going to hit a deer and I'm going to feed my family for the winter. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. That's most people's content plan. I'm going to do a live every day. Okay, why? For what purpose? What are you doing for your audience? Strategy says, I'm going to do a live about these things in this way, specifically to help my audience grow into a better understanding of what's possible, needed, and available, so that I can show them that they can afford to take that next step or can't afford not to. And then they will naturally go ahead and buy at that point. But the strategy is not, it's not just, I'm going to put out content, or I'm just going to write a story that makes them connect with me as an individual. Specific strategy in your content creation will help you walk them through a belief system, and through that repetition, they'll become aligned, so that when you actually make your offer or do your sales presentation, or however you want to take your product to the marketplace, if it's aligned with those 5 core beliefs, they're going to arrive, see it, and go, yeah, that totally makes sense, because that's the way they've been thinking every single day for the last month. Why? Because you guided them. You're not the one who knows everything. You're that wise mentor who guides them down the path. They're the hero of their own journey. And they come to this discovery and go, yeah, that makes sense. That's actually what I need. I can do that. I can get my success. I can achieve this. And this is how, thanks, Yoda. That's what you want them to do, right? Like, right. You are wise, Gandalf. Thank you. Put on my ring. You know, whatever it is, you don't want to be the hero of their story. You want them to be the hero of their story. You want to be that wise mentor who guides them along a path to a greater truth that shows them their own potential to achieve their purpose. When you do that within your content creation, when you do that within your strategy, your implementation, you'll find that those sales will come more effectively and more naturally for your product, your offer, your service. And this could be something you create your own, or it could be an affiliate product for somebody else, but identify what are the beliefs that must be there, and then create your content around those things based on your experiential understanding of those truths. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So that being said, does that answer the question that you didn't ask of how do we turn content into money?
I think it does.
All right.
Very well.
Awesome. Sometimes we'll do a little bit longer, but I always say you need to teach as long as it takes to teach, but never longer than. Okay. When you're writing copy, it takes as many words as it takes, but never a single letter more. So today we're going to close it out. We're going to let you digest that for a second. Take it in, think about it, think about your offer, think about what you're bringing into the marketplace. And I want you to write down the 5 core beliefs that you think have to be there. And then I want you to go ahead, reach out to Krista, send her a message on Facebook and tell her what the 5 core beliefs are that your audience must believe to take the next step with you today. You guys have an amazing day. Krista and I are just going to sign off saying there is beauty, there is grace and greatness within you. Now go share that world today. We'll talk soon.